Welcome to Inspiring People, the show about inspiring people, those who are inspired and those who inspire others. We all know them. They're good examples, they're supportive, they embrace life, they live inspiring lives in their day-to-day actions, and in turn, inspire others to do the same. Hi, welcome to Inspiring People. My name is Mary Otto. I'm the host of the show, and with me again today are Sarah Swenson and Marianne Burnside. Welcome back.
Thank you.
This is part 2 in a series that we're doing about organ donation, and these two have very personal stories that they're sharing with us about how organ donation has impacted their lives, particularly starting with Alex, who is an organ donor, Marianne's son, and with Sarah, who is a recipient not of Alex's organs, but rather of some others. So, Marianne, let's talk about the life of Alec Burnside. He was quite the guy, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. From early on, he was just a sweetheart of a baby. And I think some people referred to him as a nerd in high school, but he did have a tendency to be interested in things other than what most teenagers were, I guess. He really loved the show that Jack Klugman was on about autopsies.
We can't remember the name of it, so
Quincy.
I can picture the
Quincy.
Quincy, right. And when other kids were out doing rock and roll and everything, he'd be up at the Oddfellows Hall dancing with the old ladies. He got turned on to being a mortician by his neighbor, Mr. Donahauer, who started the Donahauer Funeral Home here in Detroit Lakes. And he did Mr. Donahauer's lawn, and he did such a good job that Mr. Donahauer gave him a job at the funeral home. And from then on, I guess Alec was just destined to become a mortician. He started out at the funeral home in Detroit Lakes. He went to school in Bemidji and in Texas. He was at a funeral home in South Texas. Then he was in a funeral home in southern Minnesota. Then he went to Thief River Falls, Mahnomen, and he eventually got back to Donahauer's funeral home. And that's where he was for the last 10 or so years of his life. He was a father, a husband and father. He had 3 children. When he passed away, they were like 16, 15, and 12 maybe. I'm not too good. I have too many children and grandchildren to keep track. Mm-hmm. He was a very, what could I say? He really related well to people. I'm still running into people who he worked their funerals and burials for them, and he was such a help when my husband died in 2000, because my husband died in the car on the way home from Iowa. And so it happened in Paynesville, Minnesota, and all I did was call Alec, and from then on everything was taken care of. Later on, Alec became involved with the Lions Club, and he did eye enucleating, taking, well, whatever they do with the eyes for the eye bank. And he went with Lions to Mexico several years when they brought glasses down. And then he was really wonderful at his career, but he also liked to have fun. And one of his biggest funs was the hunting season, deer hunting season. And then he was a great family man, not just his own family, but he kept our family together. One of the clever, I have a lot of sons, and they're quite clever. They're English, and they're witty. And shortly before Alec passed away, one of his brothers had tacked a nickname on him, and it was 1-800-ALEC, because Alec was always organizing and things for the family to get together, either the brothers or the whole family or whatever. So he was a really big part of my life. He tried to take his dad's place when his dad died in 2000, and he did a great job. He oftentimes took me to bingo in Lake Park on Sunday nights. And so it was a great loss. But there again, I feel like I'm keeping Alec's memory alive because he was very, very intent on giving his organs. Perhaps his work as a mortician made him more, So anyway, that's about all I would say.
Thank you, Marianne. When did you first realize that, or when did Aaron mention that he wanted to have his organs donated?
Oh, Alec? Like I say, we discussed death and dying and cremation and caskets, but we never talked about that. And so, but B knew.
B is his wife.
Yes. And see, when he was in that terrible car accident in 1988, and he wasn't expected to live, but he did live for 18 more years. He was in rehab in Texas. I think it was McAllen, Texas. And there was a little girl there who was badly, badly burned. And when he saw her, he said to B, I have to be an organ donor. And so from then on, he was going to be an organ donor. And it wasn't until they pronounced him brain dead that morning that I really realized his organs were going to be, some people say harvested, some people say lifted out, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's a medical procedure.
So as Marianne and I were preparing for the interview today and talking back and forth about this subject, Sarah overheard what we were talking about and came over. And for those of you who weren't able to see the first part of this series, perhaps, Sarah, you could give us a real brief description of what made you come over to our table.
When I heard the word or phrase organ donor, I jumped on it. I didn't want them to think I was eavesdropping, but I couldn't help myself. Being an organ recipient myself, a kidney and a pancreas, my kidney was received from my brother, so it was a living donor. And then I received the pancreas from a young man who sustained head injuries in a car accident. I really want to start getting the word out about organ donation, and it's something really important that you need to talk to your family about, regardless of your age, regardless of your health. You'd be amazed at what can be used, and at the age it can be used at. I have a personal story regarding organ donation too. My cousin and his son were in a drowning accident in the Minnesota River in 2001, I believe. They were able to find Danny, who was a 16-year-old boy at the time, right away, and he did still have a pulse. So they flew into Minneapolis and declared him brain dead. And his mother, at that point, had never even thought about organ donation. So when the topic came up and they talked to her about it, she said, she wasn't comfortable with that, which is absolutely fine. Everybody has their own ideas, their own values. But after she found out that I was going to need a kidney, in not so many words, I think she felt pretty bad.
Okay. And right now, Sarah, we're going to have to take our break, and you will be able to finish the story in the part 3 of the program. Okay. So it's not meant to be a cliffhanger, but it kind of is right now. So
sure.
you will be able to share that story with our viewers in part 3 of this series.
Okay.
Thank you.